Well, for the first time in many weeks, Dalton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting together, but not at Village Hall.
But you don't even have a sense to even look in our face. But you rather just steal our money and do what you want.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, finds herself at the center of a swirling storm of controversy. This is far from your average local political drama. There are allegations involving lawsuits, restraining orders, eviction notices, and even federal investigations. The situation is so dramatic, it feels like it was pulled straight from the script of a reality TV show, and it's all unfolding in real time.
The board has reversed some of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's decisions. At last night's village board meeting, Henyard announced a 30-day temporary appointment.
The suburban town of Dalton, Illinois, just outside Chicago, has become the epicenter of a fierce political and legal crisis, with Mayor Tiffany Henyard at the center of an escalating power struggle. Her contentious leadership style and unyielding push to consolidate authority have sparked a toxic standoff with the village board of trustees, resulting in fiery confrontations, courtroom battles, and widespread public outrage. Trustees accuse Henyard of overreach and authoritarian tactics, with tensions boiling over when a Cook County judge issued a temporary restraining order to block some of her most controversial actions, including the appointment of Ronald Burr as police chief. This judicial intervention highlighted the deep divisions within Dalton's local government, where Henyard's aggressive moves to tighten her grip on power have created a chaotic and unprecedented showdown that has left the community reeling. The political turmoil in Dalton, Illinois, has plunged the community into disarray, disrupting essential governance, stalling critical projects, and casting a shadow over the town's operations. Residents, already burdened by the town's financial struggles, now find themselves caught in the middle of a political war that appears to prioritize personal ambitions over the welfare of the community, end quote. The supporters of Mayor Tiffany Henyard argue that she is a bold and visionary leader, challenging entrenched opposition to drive transformative change. However, her critics paint a starkly different picture, accusing her of flouting rules, defying checks and balances, and operating unilaterally to consolidate her power. The recent intervention by a Cook County judge, issuing a restraining order to block some of Henyard's controversial decisions, is seen by opponents as a victory for accountability and proper governance, while supporters view it as another attempt to stifle her efforts to lead amid fierce resistance. The court's decision to block Ronald Burr's appointment underscores the depth of the power struggle that has engulfed Dalton's key institutions. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's attempt to appoint Burr ignited intense debate, with trustees arguing the process was rushed, lacked transparency, and violated established protocols. The court's ruling validated these concerns, reinforcing Henyard's growing reputation for making contentious decisions that sidestep standard procedures. Critics contend this reflects a broader pattern in her leadership style, one that prioritizes personal control over collaboration and consensus building. As these tensions continue to unfold in courtrooms and public meetings, Dalton's governance has ground to a halt, with crucial decisions delayed or derailed by relentless infighting. For Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the ongoing battle appears to be as much about political survival as it is about leadership. Mounting criticism has come not only from the Village Board of Trustees, but also from an increasingly vocal public. Allegations of financial mismanagement, questionable appointments, and excessive spending on personal security have fueled widespread discontent. Critics argue that Henyard's aggressive defense of her authority is more about safeguarding her position than serving the community. The mayor, however, remains defiant, portraying herself as the target of political sabotage and claiming her opponents are intent on undermining her progress for Dalton. At rallies and public appearances, she energizes her supporters with fiery rhetoric, framing the opposition as barriers to her vision of change. Yet, despite her assertions, the controversy continues to deepen. The situation in Dalton paints a grim picture, with a prolonged power struggle plunging the town into dysfunction. Political rivalries have overshadowed governance, leaving critical initiatives such as public safety and infrastructure improvements in limbo. Frustrated residents express growing dissatisfaction, viewing the ongoing political theater as an embarrassment that has turned their town into a symbol of mismanagement and discord. While Mayor Tiffany Henyard continues to push back against her critics, public confidence in her leadership is waning, with doubts about her judgment and priorities casting a long shadow over her administration. The fallout from the legal battles extends far beyond the courtroom, permeating every corner of the town. The police department, at the center of the controversy surrounding Ronald Burr's appointment, is particularly affected, with its leadership in flux and operations strained. The feud has only intensified tensions within the department, further complicating efforts to tackle the town's rising public safety concerns.
Tonight was a special board meeting because business has not gotten done at 2 previous meetings, so that's some progress there, but this meeting was not without its...
Political tensions in Dalton have reached a breaking point, as Mayor Tiffany Henyard faces mounting legal and federal challenges, with critics accusing her of bypassing procedural and legal norms to consolidate power. Her controversial moves, such as the attempted appointment of Ronald Burr as police chief, have drawn sharp criticism for allegedly violating Illinois' municipal ordinances requiring proper board approval. Detractors argue this is not a mere technicality, but a vital safeguard against unchecked authority. The village board, wary of Henyard's perceived attempts to fill key positions with loyalists, has pushed back, creating a high-stakes standoff emblematic of Dalton's struggles with accountability and effective governance. The courts have now entered the fray, further complicating an already volatile situation. A Cook County judge's issuance of a temporary restraining order to block Mayor Tiffany Henyard's controversial appointments marks a significant victory for those seeking to limit her influence. This legal confrontation is just one facet of the escalating tensions surrounding Henyard's leadership, which stem from more than accusations of a power grab. Critics contend her actions reflect a calculated effort to consolidate authority, marginalize dissenting voices, and prioritize personal interests over the public good. This has fueled a climate of distrust and disillusionment within the community, as residents watch critical governance devolve into a spectacle of infighting and courtroom drama. Undeterred, Henyard has doubled down, publicly asserting her resolve to stand firm against opposition. She portrays the conflict as a battle for Dalton's future, casting herself as a determined leader, fighting for progress amid resistance. Mayor Tiffany Henyard portrays herself as a transformative leader battling obstructionist forces. But the stakes for her administration have risen sharply as federal authorities turn their attention to Dalton. Reports indicate that the FBI is investigating allegations of financial improprieties under Henyard's leadership, adding significant weight to her already legal troubles. The probe is said to focus on potential mismanagement of village finances, highlighting the gravity of the controversies surrounding her tenure. For many, the involvement of federal investigators underscores the depth of Dalton's leadership crisis, raising concerns not just about the immediate allegations, but also about the broader implications for governance in a community already grappling with economic and administrative challenges. The federal scrutiny has struck a chord with residents, particularly given Dalton's long-standing financial instability. Critics point to discrepancies between Henyard's claims of bringing millions into the village and the ongoing budget deficits, further fueling distrust and calls for accountability. Accusations of excessive spending and questionable fiscal practices have become central to the narrative surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. Reports of extravagant expenses, including tens of thousands spent on Amazon purchases, have intensified public scrutiny and raised doubts about her management of taxpayer funds. The federal investigation into these financial career, but also risks eroding public trust in Dalton's local governance. Henyard's defiance in the face of these challenges further complicates the situation as she frames herself as the victim of politically motivated attacks. However, critics argue that her actions reveal a broader disregard for the checks and balances essential to effective governance, casting a shadow over her ability to lead the community responsibly. The temporary restraining order against Mayor Tiffany Henyard's appointments has highlighted what many see as a recurring pattern in her leadership style, one defined by unilateral decision-making and a lack of collaboration with the village board. In Henyard's narrative, these conflicts are portrayed as necessary battles for reform. However, her opponents view them as the consequences of overreach and hubris. As these opposing narratives unfold in courtrooms, public meetings, and the media, Dalton finds itself at a crossroads, with its future hanging in the balance of this power struggle. For the community, the stakes go beyond the immediate drama surrounding Henyard's leadership. Residents have voiced frustration over how these disputes divert attention from pressing issues like public safety, infrastructure, and economic development. While the board's opposition and federal scrutiny are seen by some as essential checks on Henyard's authority, they have also caused delays in governance and decision-making. Against this backdrop, the hope for leadership that prioritizes the town's needs feels increasingly out of reach.
Home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent. And now,
Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dolton, is facing growing allegations of misusing public funds to support a lavish lifestyle while the community struggles financially. Reports indicate that Henyard has been spending taxpayer money on expensive dining, luxury travel, and hosting extravagant parties. One of the most alarming accusations involves a block party she allegedly funded with $85,000 in village funds, featuring high-profile performers like rapper Jay Holiday and R&B singer Keisha Cole. These reports suggest that Henyard has been using Dolton's finances to fund personal indulgences, sparking public outrage. Additionally, it has been revealed that she used the village's credit card to make substantial personal purchases, including a staggering $43,000 worth of items on Amazon in a single day. These revelations have raised serious concerns about Henyard's leadership and spending practices, with critics arguing that her actions represent an unethical misuse of taxpayer dollars. The controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard has been exacerbated by Dolton's worsening financial situation, with the village's general fund balance plummeting from $561 million in 2022 to a staggering deficit of $365 million by May 2024. This dramatic decline has raised alarms among residents, many of whom question how the mayor could have allowed such a financial collapse while reportedly living a life of luxury. The stark contrast between Henyard's extravagant spending and the dire state of Dolton's budget has only intensified criticism of her leadership, with many accusing her of prioritizing personal gain over the well-being of the community. As the mayor faces increasing scrutiny, the financial mismanagement linked to her administration has deepened public distrust. Despite these controversies, Henyard has maintained her position, and some argue that her defiant stance only fuels the narrative of a leader who is out of touch with the needs of her town. The community's discontent continues to grow as Dolton's budget crisis becomes impossible to overlook, with residents demanding accountability for the sharp decline in the village's financial health. The ongoing allegations and investigations serve as a stark reminder of how one leader's actions can have profound consequences on a community already grappling with significant challenges. Residents are increasingly questioning whether Henyard's leadership is more focused on preserving her power and personal lifestyle than on addressing the needs of the people she was elected to serve.
That is another board meeting got canceled because of a lack of a quorum.
And that came after a disagreement about where to hold the meeting as trustees expressed concerns for their...
Tiffany Henyard's political and personal life has become mired in controversy, with escalating legal, financial, and ethical troubles reflecting the collapse of what was once a promising political career. Recently, Henyard and her partner, Kamal Woods, have been facing eviction from their rental property in Dolton. Their landlord, Jenna Hull, claims the couple has failed to make payments since August, leaving them with over $5,000 in unpaid rent and late fees. Hull has filed an eviction lawsuit, but has struggled to serve Henyard and Woods, who are reportedly complicating the process by changing locks and security codes, obstructing access for necessary repairs and maintenance. These personal financial issues are emblematic of broader concerns regarding Henyard's leadership in Dolton. At the same time, she remains embroiled in bitter legal disputes with the Village Board of Trustees, with tensions reaching a boiling point. At one stage, the Illinois Attorney General ruled that the village had violated the Open Meetings Act, forcing meetings to be relocated to larger venues to accommodate growing public scrutiny. The increasing number of dissatisfied residents demanding to voice their concerns has led to meetings being relocated to larger venues to accommodate the growing public discontent. This unrest is fueled by allegations of corruption and financial mismanagement within Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration. Though she has been accused of using village funds for extravagant personal expenses, including hosting a lavish block party reportedly costing over $85,000, with performances by rapper Jay Holiday and singer Keisha Cole. In addition to these lavish expenditures, reports suggest Henyard used the village's credit cards to spend over $43,000 in a single day on personal items from Amazon. Critics argue that these expenditures starkly contrast with Dolton's financial reality, as the village's general fund has plummeted from a $561 million surplus in 2022 to a $365 million deficit by May 2024. This dramatic financial decline has sparked growing concerns about the future of the town's economic stability. Under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership, Dolton's fiscal stability has deteriorated, and the financial disarray has been compounded by mounting legal threats. She faces multiple lawsuits, ongoing FBI investigations, and increasing scrutiny over her handling of village finances. The federal investigation reportedly centers on her questionable spending and how her administration has managed public funds. As pressure mounts, local residents, already upset by her spending habits, are now deeply concerned about the growing national and federal attention. Henyard's fall from a promising political figure to the center of controversy is telling. Despite her claims of being targeted by a political conspiracy and portraying herself as a victim, most residents have lost faith in her leadership. Henyard's vocal defiance against the mounting criticism, continually insisting that she's being unfairly attacked, only seems to deepen the disconnect between her and the community. Henyard's continued defiance only serves to emphasize the deepening divide between her and her constituents. Her refusal to resign or even attempt to address the numerous allegations against her has left many questioning the authenticity of her promises and the true nature of her priorities. Despite the growing storm of bad press, she continues to act as though she can weather the crisis, refusing to acknowledge the ethical and financial issues that have alienated her once strong support base. Even as she faces mounting legal and financial obstacles, Henyard remains adamant that she is fighting against a corrupt system trying to tear her down. What should be seen as accountability for her actions, she views instead as another political attack meant to weaken her power. But it's not just the external pressures. Her leadership is also increasingly challenged by internal conflicts, further eroding her credibility. Henyard's position is being further undermined by growing internal strife as her inner circle begins to fracture. Longtime allies are pulling away, and reports indicate staff resignations and rumors of betrayals. Key figures, such as her former right-hand man, Keith Freeman, are now cooperating with federal investigators, adding another layer of intrigue and scandal to her already tumultuous story. Freeman, who faces his own legal troubles related to bankruptcy fraud, is reportedly sharing details of Henyard's financial dealings, further damaging her credibility and putting her political future at risk. Meanwhile, Henyard's determination to cling to power is fueling growing resentment among residents, who feel they are witnessing a local government more focused on personal gain than on serving the public good. In financial issues, legal battles, and corruption allegations mount, Henyard's ability to retain her position is increasingly in jeopardy. Still, she refuses to acknowledge the gravity of her situation, choosing instead to perpetuate the narrative that she is being politically persecuted. With lawsuits pending, an FBI investigation looming, and her credibility eroding by the day, Henyard's grip on power continues to weaken.
Clown! We will continue to speak out against wrongdoing. Why won't you step down?
How did things get to this point? How did Mayor Tiffany Henyard, elected in a landslide victory in 2021, become one of the most embattled mayors in the nation? It all started with high hopes. Henyard's supporters viewed her as a fresh face, someone who could bring new energy and forward momentum to the town. But almost immediately after taking office, things began to unravel. Her spending habits raised eyebrows, starting with a lavish inauguration party that cost around $15,000. Although she initially promised to cover the expenses with campaign funds, the village ended up footing the bill, a move that set the tone for the controversy to follow. As her leadership progressed, it quickly became apparent that the board seemed intent on shutting her down at every turn, and residents, growing increasingly frustrated, began attending meetings and rallies, demanding answers and calling for her resignation. One resident even went as far as to call her the most infamous mayor in America. Henyard, once seen as a promising new leader, found herself mired in scandal and legal battles, with the very community that had supported her now turning against her. Footing the bill for the inauguration was a major red flag, and things only deteriorated from there. As the months passed, more reports surfaced about Henyard's questionable spending, from lavish block parties to luxury trips. It seemed as though she was more interested in living the high life than in governing the village. As Dalton's finances continued to spiral out of control, residents began to wonder where all the money was going. Henyard's response to the growing criticism has been to double down, refusing to step down despite calls for her resignation from both residents and trustees. Instead, she lashed out at her opponents, accusing them of participating in a power and money grab. In a rambling Facebook Live video that lasted nearly 90 minutes, Henyard threatened to seek the arrest of her political rivals, claiming they were trying to discredit her for their own personal gain. However, this wasn't the first time she made such threats, yet failed to follow through. She promised to expose the truth about her opponent's actions, but so far, her claims have done little to quell the mounting frustration. But each time, she has failed to deliver, leaving many to see these threats as just another attempt to divert attention from her own mounting issues. Between the FBI investigation, multiple lawsuits, and the eviction notice, it's becoming increasingly clear that she will face significant consequences. Even her once close allies are starting to distance themselves. For instance, Keith Freeman, once Henyard's right-hand man, now finds their relationship in ruins. Rumors suggest that Freeman is cooperating with federal investigators, potentially bringing even more problems to Henyard's doorstep. It's apparent that Henyard is under intense pressure, responding with sharp retorts to criticism and even accusing residents of being her fans for attending meetings and voicing their concerns. This accusation is particularly odd, given the widespread desire in Dalton's for her removal from office. Recently, Henyard announced that she is running for re-election, even as more and more residents question whether she can recover from the crisis that has engulfed her administration. And we are chatting with him about he is confident that she will win in a landslide, boldly declaring, just like Trump, "I'm coming in on a landslide." This statement stands out, especially considering the current turmoil surrounding her administration. However, Henyard seems undeterred, and that is what makes her story so compelling. It's not just the legal battles, financial scandals, or power struggles, it's her unwavering determination to cling to her position. While it's hard to imagine Henyard holding on much longer, she has consistently shown a tenacity that many find remarkable. Some may admire her perseverance, but for many, it's simply exhausting. One YouTube user succinctly captured the sentiment. "This girl has been yoking these people's chain for 2 years, and they are unable to put a muzzle on her." Another commenter suggested that Henyard likely isn't acting alone, stating, "She doesn't have the capacity or know-how to do these things on her own." This reflects a growing sentiment in Dalton where residents are fed up with the constant drama, scandals, and financial mismanagement. They want leadership that focuses on solving real problems, not perpetuating political chaos. Tiffany Henyard's tenure as mayor has been marred by scandals, legal battles, and financial mismanagement, leaving many residents of Dalton frustrated and disillusioned. Despite accusations of lavish spending on taxpayer money, including extravagant parties and luxury purchases, the town's financial situation has deteriorated, with its budget deficit growing significantly. Legal investigations, including a federal probe into her financial practices, have only deepened the controversy. As the drama continues, Henyard remains defiant, insisting that the criticism is politically motivated while refusing to step down. The town's residents, many of whom are calling for her resignation, are tired of the ongoing chaos and want a leader who will focus on the community's needs. As Henyard faces mounting pressure and uncertainty about her political future, the big question remains: can she survive these scandals and win re-election? Or is this the beginning of the end of her political career? Only time will tell, but Dalton deserves better, and the story is far from over.